Are you looking for a new whiskey adventure? Then climb in and buckle up. Get ready for one hell of a ride on the Whiskey Trip podcast with your host, Big Chief. Join in as he and his guests explore whiskey and dive into whiskey stories from around the world. Now here's your host, Big Chief.
Folks, you know, here on the Whiskey Trip, we celebrate more than just the pour in our glass. We celebrate heritage, tradition, and the stories that make this country what it is. That's why I'm proud to tell you about our friends at the Heritage Flag Company. These aren't just flags, they're handcrafted works of art built from whiskey and bourbon barrels that once held the spirit we all love. Every cut, every nail, every burn mark tells a story of patience and craftsmanship. Just like the whiskey we sip, these flags are bold, timeless, and full of character. Whether you hang one in your home bar, your man cave, or gift it to a veteran or first responder, a heritage flag isn't just decor. It's a statement. It says you believe in freedom, tradition, and the legacy we pass down. So saddle up, whiskey family, and head over to theheritageflag.com. Use code WhiskeyTrip10 at checkout for 10% off your order. Let them know Big Chief sent you. Because just like your favorite pour, the Heritage Flag Company is made to be shared, honored, and remembered. Now let's get on to the show.
Hey, it's old Big Chief from the Whiskey Trip, and yeah, you taking another ride with me, baby. And the old pickup, it headed through the fog this morning. I drove east over here to Branch, Louisiana, and that can only mean one thing. I seen rice everywhere. I see rice fields. I see crawfish traps stacked up. It's the end of crawfish season here in Louisiana. It's actually over with, so don't come down here and expect any fresh crawfish. But I got Mr. Mike Fruge with me from JT Meleck. Mike, welcome to the Whiskey Trip, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for making all the journey all the way out here.
Well, you know,
in the fog too. It's pretty heavy fog for October, which is pretty odd. That's normally a springtime thing.
Yeah, we were talking about that we had a cold front come through, a cold front for down here in South. Yeah. And then it kind of warmed back up, and I think that built that fog.
Yeah, exactly. And there's another one coming, so that's kind of building up. So.
Well, we're here to get the story of JT Meleck and this amazing rice whiskey out of you today. And you already poured us some pours. What's this first pour we got right here?
So this is our small batch original go-to, whatever you want to call it, a small batch 96. This is typically 15-barrel batches. People ask me why it's 15 barrels. It's because that's what fits in our tank. So we start off with about 25 barrels. We sort them out. We grade them. We sort them for whether they're barrel pick status or not, and we range from about 5 or 6 to a 10 out of 10, and then we take those barrels and we use some of those 10 out of 10 barrels as the backbone, and we make a 15-barrel batch. Typically, we'll do either a small batch, or the high proof, one or the other, and we kind of go back and forth between those.
Now, this is 100% rice whiskey right here.
Yeah, that's very intentional. We don't use any other grains. The whole point of this whole experiment, if you want to call it that, of the JT Meleck Distillery was to create something to carry on the legacy of our family farm. Family's been here for 4 generations, so we're not trying to make whiskey. We're trying to make something out of the farm, if that makes sense. It turned out to be whiskey. And we wanted to make an American spirit and the American style, not to be confused with sake or sochu or something like that. People always ask that question, so I'll go ahead and get it out of the way. Not much has been done with rice, and I think it has to do with timing of prohibition and the oncoming of rice as a commercial grain. Number one, it's to this day, it's not the most popular grain in the country. It can only be grown in certain places, Louisiana, Arkansas, California, a little bit of Missouri. But Louisiana is perfectly suited for it. It's practically completely flat down here, but I think I'm getting off track. But yeah, so we were diligently committed to the single grain. If it had turned out that this was not good, we just wouldn't have a distillery. That's just kind of how we either made it out of rice or we wouldn't do it at all.
Well, I say cheers to you, my friend.
So,
it's got that nice velvet texture to me. I love it. It is so shocking from drinking other rice whiskeys from around the world to go into something that's barrel aged, American style, as you call it. And rice in Louisiana has been here since 1718. And like you were saying, there's several other states that produce rice. California, like you said, they're the number one, or actually the number two state. Arkansas produces a lot of rice. You said Missouri, Mississippi, Texas. But Louisiana, when I think of Louisiana, I do think of rice and sugar cane because it is so flat. And you got the right amount of water here, that subtropical temperatures here to grow rice. But what's fascinating here is that you also have a byproduct from rice, which I really love. And maybe it's not a byproduct, but a secondary crop for you guys, which is
no, it's the primary crop.
The primary crop is the actual crawfish that eat it's the stubble, right? That's the stalk.
Yeah. So that's a long story, but I'll go ahead and tell the whole thing for your listeners because they might not be from here. My brother and I got started in crawfish farming in college. It was crawfish farming as an industry was in its pioneer days. We weren't the first ones, but we were the first guys to, some of the first, I should say, there were other people, but there were some of the first guys to do it on a commercial scale to make a living from it. It wasn't just a hobby. We weren't selling it on the side. This is our life. That started in '83, 40-something years ago. So over time, we expanded. We started bringing our product to other states. We did crawfish boils. We traveled the country. We did all kind of things. And, sometime later, a company in Dallas developed our company, Fruge Seafood Company, based in Grand Prairie, Texas. It exposed us to all kind of really creative people in the foodie world, food service world, restaurateurs and whatnot. And what I noticed over that long period of time is that Louisiana is a brand outside of the state. It's more popular probably outside of the state than it is in the state. So that's the bottle with the crawfish on it, with the big Louisiana banner across the front. That's all intentional, because you got Tabasco, you got Tony Sasher's, you got a few other brands, but there's nothing with that on the bottle. So everybody asks me, "Oh, you making that crawfish whiskey?" No, we're not making crawfish whiskey, but we are making the Louisiana brand. And there was a big debate. You can put a crawfish on the bottle. Well, did I want somebody else to? That was the question I came down to. If I see a crawfish on somebody else's bottle and we didn't do it first, would that make me happy or sad? So that's just kind of how we ended up there.
I remember first time seeing your bottle and somebody, I was like, "Hey, what is this?" And they're like, "That's crawfish whiskey." And I was like, "Nah, it's
no,
not.
I hope not.
It's not crawfish. Yeah, they're making it with crawfish." I was like, "No, they're not. That wouldn't be a whiskey, number one.
Yeah.
And I don't think it would even be in this store if it, number two, being sold." But then Fred Minnick got a hold of you and kind of exposed your whiskey to the world in a good way, and told people about it. And that's how I got some in my hand. And I was like, "Man, this is damn pretty good right here." A rice whiskey. And it made me want to seek out other whiskeys. And people always ask me, "Hey, Big Chief, what's your favorite whiskey?" My favorite whiskey is something that's different, that's not from one of the big 5 distilleries in America, that somebody's that's trying to make their own way. And I love that you say, "Hey, if it didn't happen this way, we won't going to be a distillery no more." And I'm glad that it has worked out for you in a pleasant way.
We're still on the journey. That's still so up for debate. But yeah,
I'm telling you, it's not
we're-
up for debate. I'm telling you,
yeah.
you've made it because people outside of Louisiana know you as a brand. And I love you were taking me around your farm here and were showing me the distillery and your rick houses and stuff. And you said, well, you know, if you cook crawfish outside of Louisiana, you're like a superhero to people.
Yeah.
You're a superstar.
Celebrity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
celebrity. But here in Louisiana, and I would say southeast Texas as well, you cook crawfish at the neighborhood, and you're some bum that showed up and hired help.
Well, you're popular if you got the crawfish, but you are, you know, if you do a commercial boil, and I'll say that, I'll try to explain it that way. If I go do a commercial boil in Lafayette, we're in the back, we're the hired help, nobody's come and visit us, we're just cooking, we're just working. And we've done that for years. We don't do it anymore, but we used to do a lot of it. If you go to, you don't have to go far, go to San Antonio, you go cook crawfish over there, you're a celebrity. They're all going to come meet you. They're going to tell you about their in-laws. They're going to tell you about their relatives from Louisiana. It's just human nature. I don't know. That goes back to, you know, day one when we decided to do this as an enterprise. I was actually living in Miami because that's where my wife's from. And we started doing backyard crawfish boils, and it blew up. And we couldn't keep up.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and that's when I realized that I need to go home and do this for real. I moved back, and that was in 86, 88. Yep.
Now, the other fascinating thing, or one of the fascinating things, because I was digging just the history out of you and just talking to you and trying to read you a little bit before we got on here and told your story, but you guys are not French from your heritage. You do have some French heritage, but you're typically the J.T. Meleck side of the family was German immigrants.
Yeah, so, you know, my brother and I are both Fruges. There was five siblings who came down here. The family was bigger than that. Some of them stopped along the way. I don't know the whole story. You know, I had it written down. I'm looking for it, trying to get it all caught up. But anyway, there were the Melecks. 3 brothers and 2 sisters, or anyway, I may have that wrong, but regardless, only one of the sisters got married. She married a Fruge, and so that's how I ended up with the last name Fruge. But then she only had one child, my grandfather. None of the other Melecks had children or got married, and my great uncle, Uncle John, pretty much raised my grandfather. And so my grandfather always talked about Uncle John, and 100 stories, you know, if you can imagine. And they were German heritage. They spoke German, very little English, from what I understand. They preferred to speak German. There is a German sort of a community not far from here, 5 or 6 miles as the crow flies, called Robert's Cove. They do a German Fest every year. In fact, I believe it was last weekend. So there's a huge, I wouldn't say huge, but there's a fairly significant German contingent in the area. Now, they didn't travel here with that group. It's just coincidence that they settled in. They may have found out about it, so they came here because of it, but they didn't travel through the same path that that group took. But anyway, they came here somewhere after the Civil War, late 1800s, and settled on a high ridge, because if you know anything about the history of South Louisiana before drainage, it was basically in the wintertime, it was all just open freshwater marsh. You couldn't travel 9 miles in one direction at that time of the year. In the wintertime, everything would just back up, all the bayous and stuff with the, you know, rainfall and whatnot would all, you know, it was kind of a odd time. Like, you can drive from Branch, Louisiana to Rayne right now, it's 9 miles away. Back then, not accessible.
You had to have your P-row.
You had to cross the bayou. Yeah.
Well, it makes sense. You were talking another story. I said, hey, did John Meleck, did he drink whiskey? And you were like, I don't know that he drank whiskey, but I know that he drank beer, and they had a barrel of beer outside the house and they typically didn't drink water because the water was unclean.
Yeah, you know, water, back then either came out of a well that you hand pumped or it came out of a cistern on the side of the house, and they had both. I know that because I used to go to the house and there was a big wooden cistern in the backyard. I'm not sure which one they used what for or what not, but water was, that's, people all over the world drank beer and wine because water was not clean. It was whatever made you sick, and I know from my dad that they kept a barrel of beer on the side of the house somewhere, and they'd go dip their mug in there or whatever they did, and they drank a lot of beer. You go to the German Fest, I mean, it's all about beer drinking, so there's plenty of that. Now, whether they distilled anything, I don't know. I'm not aware of it. We were not in the industry for sure.
Well, there's a lot of German heritage in distilleries. Heaven Hill and Old Maxwell House Coffee was a German family, and it's just funny how people think Germany beer, but they're in the heartland of the grain belt of Europe, and so they made a lot of whiskey. And there's rye whiskey made today, and some of the first Americans to make whiskey after Jamestown was Germans up in Massachusetts in I think 1647, and they were making a rye style whiskey, and then they migrated to Pennsylvania and made a rye style whiskey, but nobody was making a rice whiskey, and that's shocking because I was telling your wife, rice whiskey is the number one style of whiskey in the world, drank by both China and India. The two most populated countries on the face of the earth. India drinks more whiskey than anybody else at this time, and it's mostly rice whiskey. And they're coming on. Japan is obviously famous for loving some whiskey, but they love Scotch-style whiskey.
Right.
Now, we got a second pour here for this half. What's this right here we got in this glass?
So this is called our high proof. This is our single barrel picks were and are still in high demand, super popular. Don't have enough of them to go around. So we came out essentially with a cast strength whiskey, so to sort of fill in the gap a little bit. We call it a 118 because that's a proof that we can consistently hit. As people wanted a high proof answer and they wanted it readily available, and that's what this is. Similar to the small batch, 15 barrel batches, and proofed at 118.
Well, cheers to you.
Cheers.
118 proof.
Yeah, but it drinks. Well, I'll let you be the judge.
It drinks like heaven, is what it.
Yeah.
That's what it drinks like.
Yeah.
I love it. Once again, velvety, crosses the palate really well. This would have it, to me, a little bit longer finish on it, a little bit more of that pepper spice. I don't want to say hot sauce, but that barrel spice is there and stuff. Is there spice from the rice, you think? Well,
great question. Either comes from the rice or it comes from the barrel. You can be the judge of that. 60% of the flavor of any whiskey comes from the barrel, or so they say. Our whiskey coming off the still does not say spice to me. It says velvet, soft palate, slightly sweet, very pleasant.
Yeah. I almost get, and you're probably around the same age as me. You're a little younger, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But little horehound candy on this, sweetness and that spice, minty. I love it. It
the
just
sweetness
takes me back.
Definitely comes from the rice.
Yeah.
So I mean that's not an additive. That's not, I let you taste it coming off the still earlier today, and almost everybody has the same reaction. Oh, you could bottle this, and we could have. I just didn't want the public's impression for that to be the first impression. We may come out with other product later on, maybe a finished, ready to drink product where we don't have to, have it aged as long or something. I don't know.
I think that would be call that the cocktail killer right there.
Yeah,
It is
pretty
one of the most beautiful white dogs I've ever drank before
Mm-hmm.
and got to taste. I absolutely loved it. And I can't thank you for enough just
Mm-hmm.
taking me back there and showing me what you're doing back there. Now you guys are running 2 column stills. You can produce about, you said 6 barrels a day.
Yeah, right.
You said your distiller though, your head distiller.
2.67.
Yeah, he's a man. He's a numbers guy.
Yeah, he's a numbers guy.
But you guys are doing stuff the traditional American style way of producing whiskey.
Yeah, so we're using a yeast. We are making an American style beer or a German style beer, however you want to look at that. You know, my daughter, who is, we talked about her earlier, she developed she coined a term for it. She calls it the Meleck lean, because when you talk to people about rice whiskey, they go, rice? You know, there's always a hesitation, and then they taste it, and they go, this is rice? You know, and they're shocked by it, which is awesome, you know, because it you know, it just makes a phenomenal whiskey. I would say that if you take our whiskey, you know, if you're unsure, and I bring it all the time to little bourbon groups, backyard groups, whatever, and I put it on the table, and there's always hesitation, 100%. You know, look at that. Mm-hmm. You know, people are just kind of looking at it. And then a day later, I'm getting all these emails. You know, man, this stuff is unbelievable. What? I mean, okay, how can I get a bottle? You know, that sort of thing. It's kind of losing. I'm kind of rambling here, but if you blind it against the best in the world, you're gonna be happy. You know?
I'm extremely happy with it. The first time I tasted it, but I have a different kind of mind where I want to find different. I want to find something that's beautiful. I'm telling you, the color in these bottles. How old are these 2 expressions right here?
4.5, give or take. By the time you get them in a bottle, it's a 4-year whiskey minimum. But you know, the average life in that bottle is about 4.5.
And you guys go into it about 120 proof into the barrel?
That's our number that we're shooting for. I'm not too particular about that. I mean, I don't let it get out of control. I take a farmer's point of view on a lot of this stuff. You know, probably break a lot of traditional rules, but you seem to know a lot about the history of whiskey production in America, and you know, came over from Scotland, went through the colonies, and then post American Revolution moved into the Ohio River Valley, and those were all farmers. I don't think they could measure that close, you know. And they put it in a barrel, and this developed over time. And if you want to be consistent, you got to hit your numbers. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But if I go in at 120 or 121, I don't think it's going to change the world in that barrel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and if you're looking, I think it more matters when you're looking for consistency, but when you're doing batches, even at 15 barrels, I don't think that 1 or 2 proof is going to kill you.
Yeah.
And you're looking for more, you know, single barrels. You said at one time your single barrels were outselling the rest of your whiskey, or, you know, that was your main line. And now it's kind of moved to your older 6-year-old whiskey.
Well, I may have confused you on that a little bit. It's never outsold our other whiskeys. It could have, because it was in such high demand. We had a waiting list, you know, unbelievable how, you know, it got so popular that it became a negative, especially locally with the retailers. You know, people were like, how come they got one? How come I didn't? Whatever. And you're trying to satisfy everybody. Still, you know, as popular today as we go outside of the state, and other groups, you know, people contacting us all the time to do private groups. I mean, we only have a limited amount of that, and we can't turn everything into a single barrel because then they wouldn't be as good. We taste every barrel that comes out of the barn, and they all get rated. and maybe 30% of them are qualified as a single barrel. But you can't use them all as single barrels. You got to use some of those as the backbone of your batch whiskey. Otherwise, you're putting out a lesser quality. I told you that we could have released our whiskey at 3 years, but it was okay. It wasn't fabulous, and everything that comes out of here needs to be fabulous, or just it's not coming out.
I mean, I love that concept of
we're fortunate to be able to have that kind of discipline. This is not our main living yet, so hopefully will be someday for maybe a future generation. Whiskey is a long, long game. In case that's not obvious, we're in the middle of a big problem right now, as many people know. It's too much of it, and it's going to get worse in the next couple of years by my calculations.
I agree with you on half of that. For big boys out there, the big distilleries, it probably is going to be a major problem.
But they drive the market,
But for craft distillers that are beating the pavement to death in winning their own markets, winning the state of Louisiana with your whiskey and getting it on the whiskey shelves and getting it into Louisiana folks' hands, getting it into your neighbors' hands, which is Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi. You get into those hands, that's the people. I tell people, you want to drink something. I'm not saying don't buy the big brand stuff, but help the craft distilleries out, help farmers out like Mike here. He is a real farmer. You guys got, you said around 4,000 acres that you farm all total. You're a real farm here.
Yeah. So, our current, if you look at some of our marketing materials, the current thing that we're focused on is the term obsessively authentic. And, we make everything right here. You saw it. All the way from the dirt to the bottle. We don't make the bottle, but we make everything inside the bottle. But the whole point of this, in case it's not clear, was to be able to pass something on to the next generation. As farming goes, there's a natural consolidation that happens. Farms get bigger and bigger. There are fewer and fewer farmers. In certain parts of the country, you can travel and go look around, go through Kansas, wherever you want to go. There's corporate corn farms all over the place. There's no more, very few family in that particular region that I'm thinking of in my head. They're gone and never coming back.
Well, because it's an expensive business.
Yeah, it's
farming equipment has gotten ridiculously. What's a combine cost today?
Oh Lord, don't get me started on that. That's a whole nother animal. About $1 million a machine, round numbers. Tractors are $500,000. By the way, all that's doubled since COVID. It was half that pre-COVID. So that's not a rice thing. That's a nationwide thing.
We could do a whole nother show just on farm equipment and how these companies like John Deere, and this is a known fact, put technology into their tractors and their combines up to where the farmer can't even work on their equipment anymore. You have to take it to a dealer, and it's proper. They own that technology, but we are fighting back against that. These big businesses and trying to help the farmers out where a farmer can work on their equipment, and hopefully those laws will pass and protect the American farmer. Guys like you that are truly a farmer, and I don't mean as a farmer as you're getting out there and running that combine. Do you still do that every once in a while?
My brother is the physical farmer, if you want to call it that. He checks the water. His son now is following in his footsteps, and we have another gentleman who you met, Mr. Ed, Big Ed, we call him. He, by the way, he was a national powerlifting champion in high school. He won as a junior and a senior, like the whole thing.
I can believe it. He's folks. Mr. Ed is a big man. He makes me look a little small, but he's a hustler too. Because he's like, "Do you hunt?" I hunt all right.
First thing he's gonna ask you if it's He and I deer hunt together, and that's some of the. We're getting ready for that. So it's top of mind for him right now. It's October. we're all jacked up. So.
Hey, I've done been in a deer stand
Yeah.
two times. It was nice, cool mornings, and I was like, man, this is church right here. It don't get no much better than that.
Yeah. We both bow hunt, so it's a long game. It's a lot of failure and a lot of stuff to talk about, but I digress.
That's a lot of time to think, is what it is.
That's what it is. It's therapy.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about
Yeah.
that. Well, we're right up against the first half, Mike, and I appreciate this. And this whiskey, man, some of my favorite whiskey on the whiskey trail that I've tasted is this right here, and I love more people to buy this. If you're drinking rice whiskey from another country, look out for JT Meleck and find that, and I think you'll be shocked. Before we go to that first half, though, check out my friends over at the Heritage Flag Company. You see this beautiful flag right here, made out of bourbon barrels right here. Check them out. If you're looking for something for your whiskey enthusiasts out there, a veteran, somebody that's a patriot, wants something to display in their house, in their office, sit on their desk, check Heritage Flag Company out. I'd appreciate it. You listeners, you stick with us. We'll be back in just a second. Leaper's Fork Distillery is an artisan distillery working to bring back the history and heritage of a small batch whiskey production to Williamson County. The distillery crafts premium spirits using local ingredients and limestone filtered water to create superior spirits with a signature taste. Yeah, you know I love their wheated bourbon. Leaper's Fork Distillery is characterized primarily as a low-volume, low-impact concept of production. They are excited and honored about bringing back a lost art and industry to a county that always puts its history and heritage at the forefront. Visit them today at leapersforkdistillery.com. All right, listeners, this is old Big Chief, and we're back for the second half here in Branch, Louisiana, with Mike Fruge here at JT Meleck Distillery, Fruge Spirits, and we're drinking your guys' rice whiskey here, and you just poured me something. Now, this is for Texas stores.
Right.
You got to tell these Texans about this whiskey, but this is for Specs. This is one of your single barrel picks.
Correct. Yeah, so I think quite a few people in Texas know about our whiskey. Specs has done several barrel picks, and we have one of the extra bottles here, and we poured it. If you spin that bottle around on the front of the, why don't you hand it to me, and then I can better describe it. So, this goes back a ways. My wife pulled this bottle from our library. So this is a last year's pick, a barrel in the 300 range. So it's at 120.9, bottle number 183. So, straight out of the barrel, don't do anything to it, no filter, no nothing.
So no chill filtering or anything?
A year later, it's still clear.
I can see in the bottom there some little char down in there, though. I love it.
Yeah, a little bit of char.
I'd love to see that char in there, though. There's nothing wrong with that. That tells me there's some magic in that bottle.
Yeah. Well, so, don't want to go off on a tangent here, but, when it comes to filter and stuff, we only have to filter our small batch, and we only do that because we're adding water back, and we don't want to have sort of the oils dropping out on the bottom, which when I personally, we'll do a small batch, I'll set some aside for me that I don't filter, and even though I'll get a little cloud in the bottom, I'm fine with that because it's just part of the flavor, and I'll save that as kind of my private reserve, no chill filtering, no nothing, straight out of the bottle.
It's beautiful.
Straight out of the barrel, I should say.
I love it. Now, we were talking in the half, and there's been some lessons learned here for you. And you credited some people with helping you out and refining your process. Mm-hmm. Who are some of those people that have helped you refine this process?
Oh, the guys that helped me the most, is our original distillery that we worked with. And I don't name names with those guys because that's kind of like a close kept secret, but we're still very good friends today, and they helped me the most. And then after that, I think I told you about Dave Shurick. He was the original general manager at Woodford, and back when we first started, this was 8 years ago, he was doing some consulting, and what Dave did was keep me from jumping out the window, because midway 2 years in with your whiskey and you go taste it out of a barrel, it's the worst stuff you ever had. It's very tannic. You know, I was just full-blown panic attack, and I can remember him on the phone and said, "Look, you got a good, clean distillate." I never heard that word before, distillate, till he said it at that moment. You know, he said, "It's gonna be fine. You just have to be patient." You know, and he was just a good, just fatherly advice along the way. And then probably the most important guy we met was kind of accidental, but a local brewery in Arnoldville, those guys helped me a lot, you know, with our practices to stay consistent, clean, etc. During COVID, we made a lot of hand sanitizer for him. His wife, I don't know, sold truckloads of it at the time, and we just became good buddies. And you meet people like that. There's a ton of other people. Pat Heist over at Wilderness Trail.
Good people right there.
Yeah, good people. He helped me with, you know, sort of dialing in our ferments once we had a ferment, we know what we wanted to do, but to really get it dialed in to make it efficient, he was super helpful along those lines. And
is that the yeast you're using as Firm Solutions?
well, I keep all that private. I'm very private about our recipes, and but you can form your own conclusions. Our recipe, I think, is quite unique, and it turned out to make a spectacular whiskey. There's, I think you have to be aware of that. So.
I mean, I'm just shocked, and I think some American whiskey drinkers would just, if they just get it in their glass and taste it, and I like to call it, this is a whiskey you need to have a session with. You need to sit on your front porch and with your buddies, pour some glasses of whiskey, take that pinky out of the air, don't be too pretentious, and just enjoy the whiskey in a session and talk about it and talk it through and experience it. And I will guarantee you, listeners, that you'll come to love this whiskey right here, this American rice whiskey that comes from a true farmer. There ain't no more. You're from the dirt to the grain to the harvest.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, the obsessively authentic. I just want to point out, you can't source rice whiskey. It doesn't really exist. I mean, you name some other distilleries that are doing it, but they're all craft guys. They're doing it like us on a small scale. You can't call up the contract distiller and say, "Make me some rice whiskey." It doesn't really exist. And in our case, you couldn't even. There was no recipe. There's nothing to follow. This is all trial and error and experimentation when we first started. And I mean, it's not like we knew everything there is to know about it now. We're 8 years in. We're still learning.
Is there one thing that if you look back on it, Mike, that you would be like, I would have changed that right there? If you could go back and tell yourself, hey, Mike, you probably need to change this.
That's a really good question, and I probably got the strangest answer I've ever heard myself say. And I've always got something to nitpick, but no. There's nothing. This is musicians make music. Some of them. I've heard this story. I'm not a musician and I can't sing, but they say they don't write the music. It comes through them. And when we started this project, I have no idea why I did it. I was like, it was just coming through me. And that's a weird thing to say, but I'm telling you the truth. It was like. We met the right people at the right time, and we got the right advice, and it's right here in this glass.
Well, I love that you were authentic about saying that you.
I didn't do it, just so you understand. Like,
yeah,
they all did, but I had to meet all of them to get here.
Yeah, Oh, I just said that to somebody the other day. I was like, somebody had posted something on social media and said, "What would you go back and tell that younger person?" And it was about being a veteran and getting out of the military. But I said I wouldn't go back and tell that person nothing, because every experience along the way has made me who I am today. And sometimes you have to make those mistakes to learn from. And you were very honest when we're touring your facility. You're like, we made this mistake right here. We made that mistake, and we've corrected it, and we fixed this, and we've improved that. And I love that.
That part is that's just a constant part of running a distillery. You always got, just when you think you got it all figured out, you block up a column or something. And I mean, you spend 2 weeks down not making anything because you're trying to repair whatever you didn't know you had a problem, and maybe there's a simpler way to do all that, but we're learning as we go. We won't make that mistake again.
Now you've had your distiller is like a homegrown person.
Yeah, we both are. So yeah, Brett is he and I just sort of figure this out. I came up with the recipe. I didn't. Our contract guys and I did it all together. We figured out how we wanted to do this. We sort of trial and error figured everything out. And Brett was just here working on the farm. He was here originally hired to be our number 2 in command after Mr. Ed that we talked about earlier. And he happened to be standing right there. I said, well, we'll give him a try. If you're not making 100 different whiskeys and you're not running a high volume tasting room where you got to come up with something new all the time, then you're really just baking the same cake. You're making the same beer, and you need consistency. And if Brett is nothing else, he's obsessed with the numbers. Like I told you that he's a savant when it comes to, like, if I'll say we make 3 barrels a day, he'll go he almost has a convulsion. It's like we make 2.67. So he know, like, he can just spit off numbers. It's incredible that's an example of what I'm talking about. Like, I didn't go find him; he was here.
Well, there was another thing that happened while I was here. A young lady, she said she's been here with you guys for 18 years. Working in the office. She's
famous. Everybody knows me.
She's like, where are you from, young man? And I was like, I can't be that much younger than her. But she said, she's like, where are you from? I told her, and she's like, well, I'm from over by Houston. And she started telling me her family history and how she got to Louisiana. She's like, I've been here for 18 years. And what that told me right away about you is that's a rare, number one. That's a rare thing to have in an employee. And it's not just her. Brett's been here the whole time, too. How long has Mr. Ed been here?
Mr. Ed and I grew up together, so he's been here the whole time.
That's called loyalty right there. Yeah. And in today's world, that's a rare thing, and that speaks a lot to your character and to.
I'd like to take credit for that, but let me tell you, we also went through COVID, and we lost a lot of good people going through that. That's a whole nother story that has nothing to do with whiskey. That's more about the food service side of what we do. But, food service, restaurant industry, it's been pretty rough.
Pretty rough.
Yeah. And it's still not recovered.
Well, when you talk about food service and, that's your main crop is crawfish. Let's get that straight to people.
Yep.
But one of the things you're fighting right now, and Louisiana just passed a law, and I would tell you, listeners, if you come to Louisiana and you eat at a seafood restaurant, you want to know that seafood is from Louisiana. They have to have it on the menu. They have to tell you where that seafood came from. That's a state law, both here and over in Texas now. Make sure that you're eating. If you're going to come eat crawfish, make sure it's Louisiana crawfish, because that helps these farmers out here. They're getting, some places are bringing in cheaper from around the world, and you're having to compete with that.
Yeah. That's a whole nother topic.
I know. We could have
we don't want to go down that rat hole right now.
We could have a whole nother show about that.
Yeah.
It kind of dives into my real job in the Coast Guard, because I get to see the shrimpers and see their pain right now and what they're battling. it hurts me to watch that. It hurts me to watch a farmer struggle against that. And I wish more Americans would pay attention to that and eat American products, buy into America, buy into the American farmer like Mike here.
I want them to buy into us, but I also want to say that I know you can take this whiskey and you can put it in a blind tasting against the best bourbons in the world, and you're going to be very pleased. You're probably going to win more than you lose, like if it's a contest. I know that because we've done it. So, people are going to buy one bottle because it's quote unquote local. They're not going to buy the second bottle, if it's not good. It has to be good. And, if this weren't what I just described, this world-class whiskey, if people like Fred Meleck hadn't done the review he did whenever we first started and confirmed it, and we continue to do these blind tastings and confirm it, we'd be done. We wouldn't still be making this stuff. We don't have a tasting room. This is all about creating a brand that has legs to get it to the next generation. It's not about making a quick profit, if that makes sense.
Well, whiskey's not about
whiskey was never that in the first place, but I didn't know that when I started.
They said if you want to make $1 million on whiskey, you better start with $3 million. Yeah.
That's like airplanes, same thing.
Well, airplanes just a boat in the sky. You want to know how to do something? Yeah, you better start with some money.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're having that discussion with you of this place. But you're going back to your employees, that loyalty, that family, sense of family and stuff, that made me feel warm inside, from Mr. Ed to Brett to Miss Pam in there. Yeah. And then your wife, just the hospitality coming over here and, hey, what do you need, Mike? How can we do this?
Yeah, my wife is the backbone of this whole deal. She's,
You got a built-in graphic designer.
Yeah.
Come on.
She designed the bottle. Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Most people have to pay for that stuff.
And we take it for granted.
Are you saying you paid for it though, right?
Oh, yeah. Of course. There's a funny story behind that, and I showed you the labels. I didn't get into that but since you brought it up, we hired a professional spirits company to help us build the brand, go through and figure out what our story was, and they did a magnificent job because I had no idea that our story was our legacy when we started. Who knows what we thought we were going to name it? I had no clue. And going through that process of discovering your story, we rediscovered our roots, and named the bottle. Named the brand after J.T. Meleck, which is a real person, John Meleck. I don't know if we said that earlier or not, but so we knew our story. We had recorded it. I went back and figured out when they actually got here, and I talked to my dad and did all this stuff, and it was really inspiring. Like, man, this has been here the whole time, and I'm totally unaware of it because we didn't look at it that way. And but then we were trying to get the label right. And the agency, they kept giving us these labels, and they were just like, not what I'm looking for. Not what I'm looking for. And I literally would, draw pictures of what our bottle kind of looks like now. Didn't look like that. It looked terrible because I'm not a good artist. But, we were all meeting by conference call, and I'm starting to get frustrated. And my wife said, "You better calm down. You're going to make them mad." Whatever. And after we hung up the call, I said, "You think you can do any better?" And that weekend, she pretty much designed the label. Maybe she was grouchy that I didn't pick her to do it in the first place.
Well, I could see that. You got a built-in graphic designer.
Yeah.
Even this behind us, she designed this right here. And I love that this is a family business, and you've made other people part of your family, and that just speaks volumes to what you're doing here. Now, everybody can see that clear bottle over here, that clear liquor.
Yep.
That's the number one selling style of liquor in the United States. It beats out whiskey like tenfold. Vodka.
Yeah.
Now this is a 100% rice vodka.
Yeah. So, historically speaking, vodka's a mixer. There are some very high-end vodkas on the planet, and you probably never heard of them. But I used to be interested in them before we started making whiskey. I was, my go-to was a vodka martini, dry, not dirty, no dirt, but with olives, in case anybody wanted to know. And when you start a distillery, the first thing you do is make a clear spirit, because you're either making a distillate for your whiskey, or you try to make a vodka or a gin so you can get some cash flow. And so we made the vodka. In fact, the whole point of the distillery came from an argument with me and my brother, because the price of rice has collapsed, and I told him we weren't going to plant the crop that year. We were going to hold off. And he stormed out of the office, and I'm looking at the accountant, and somebody made a joke in the room. I wonder if you can make vodka out of this stuff. Maybe you can drink it, because it was going to be a bad year. Anyway, that's where I started. That's how green and naive I was. And so I think I had a pretty good palate for the vodka. We made it. I still didn't realize what I had, because I wasn't used to tasting this stuff at that time. I couldn't break it apart in my brain. I just tasted it, whatever. And the guy made a martini with it, and I tasted it, and the mouthfeel, the creaminess of it, the smooth is an way overused term. I just never, maybe AI could come up with a better term, but you could drink it so easy. It's just, and it's so pure. There's no ill effects. You don't wake up with a hangover or something after just one or two cocktails. You don't get any headaches. I know we're talking about whiskey, but if you got someone in your family that likes vodka, you need to try this. You take that vodka and you mix it with citrus, and it completely disappears. You don't even know it's in the glass. So the vodka still outsells the whiskey to this day in Louisiana. It took off like a rocket. We started off in September 2018, just peddling one bottle at a time to the retailers, and by that December, it was just breaking records.
I've drank some of your vodka,
Yeah.
and a whole bunch of Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
That's my preferred drink.
So it's when you move out of the state, you go to other distributors. Oh yeah, no, the vodka. They're not interested in hearing the story. To be honest, that's kind of the reception you get. They all want to know about the whiskey, but I always promote that, because it's the foundational product that we. Without that, there wouldn't be any whiskey. That's kind of how it went.
Keeps the lights on, right?
Well, it started the lights. Because if it remember. Any whiskey you put in a barrel, you're not going to know what you got for a long time. Mm-hmm. And the vodka was so good that sales just took off, and it's not like it paid for everything, but it confidence, confirmation. People liked it. And they still like it. So. Yeah.
I'm looking at your bottles here, and there's a picture of J.T. Meleck.
Yep, that's actually a real picture.
That's a real picture of the man.
Yeah, that's him.
That man's got a mustache right there.
He's got a mustache.
That's a mustache
it's back in style.
Why don't you grow it? If you grew that right there, that is marketing right there, 101. If you grew that right there, man, oh man.
Maybe so. I'm gonna get my brother to do that.
Your brother could grow that,
or either one of us. You didn't see my brother, but everywhere we go, they think we're twins. So.
Yeah, that's a mustache right there for sure.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that brings us almost to the end here now. on social media, you guys got a new Instagram handle. What's that new Instagram handle?
That's a great question.
I know what it is. It's JT Meleck 2.0.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me know.
What about your website?
It's jtmillick.com. We're on Facebook. We're primarily on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. That's where we focus on.
That's where you're
on
at.
social. And then we have an app. You can go to the website. You can sign up for the app. There's a locator finder that tells you what retailers have it. It's not up to date in Texas because we're having trouble accessing the database. But I can tell you the most specs have it throughout Texas. Just about every retailer in Louisiana has it. There's limited distribution in Arkansas. And then there's 4 states that we are available through LibDib. That's like a mail order distributor. It's like a temporary house, until you build up enough volume. And we're in California, Pennsylvania, Florida, and New York.
So you're starting to reach out a little bit.
Yeah, so that's sort of your grassroots level. So any retailer in those markets could contact LibDib and order, as little as a case at a time.
I love it. Well, listeners, you know how I've been doing for the past 25 weeks. We've had giveaways, and JT Meleck did not disappoint. Mike here and his wife, they made up a gift basket. I'm gonna try to lift it up here. It's a cooler, a hat, a T-shirt, and I'm looking in there, and this is one of their white labels right here, of bottled whiskey right here. Now, what you're gonna do for this giveaway right here? What you're going to do is you're going to in the comments on Instagram, and I'll post it all week long. You know how I like to roll. But I want you to put an emoji of a crawfish, and yes, there is an emoji of a crawfish on Instagram.
It's probably a lobster, but we'll take it.
You'll take it? No, I looked it up this morning.
It is? Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Maybe it is a lobster. I don't know. But whenever you put crawfish in there, it comes up as an emoji. So that's what I want you to put. And then I want you to tag 4 of your friends in there. And then make sure you follow JT Meleck 2.0. Let's build their followership up and help them rebuild that social media platform. And then follow the Whiskey Trip. Like the post, please. But comment with those 4 friends. You want to tag 100 friends. Tell them about this. We're going to let this run all week long. Every time you see a post on any social media platform, though, make sure you comment with it, that emoji, and tagging 4 friends. Tell as many people as possible about this American rice whiskey. And at the end of the week on Monday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, you know how I like to roll. We're going to tell everybody who the winner is. Now you got to bring it, and then I'm going to bring it, and I'll send this out to you when we pick the winner. You can see they made a pretty bow. That's a crawfish sack right there?
That's a crawfish sack.
Did it have crawfish in it?
No. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
That wouldn't smell too good.
Well, Mike, any last thoughts for our listeners out there?
Oh, goodness. We could go on and on and on. We didn't really talk about your thoughts on the single barrel versus the high proof, but
Ooh, baby, I'm telling you what, that single barrel right there, they're hard to judge against each other. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick one, I would probably go with a higher proof for me, because I'm a whiskey nerd and I have a high tolerance for whiskey, so I like that higher proof. And I think there might have been a little bit more char in that bottle right there, but good Lord, both of them. That's hard to pick between them, and I still get that horehound candy out of there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what I consider a barrel pick for us is like when I taste it, I want that barrel just to explode, like all the flavors. That's what I call it. It's a little micro explosion. I could feel it. I've tasted enough of them to know what I'm looking for. And when you balance out a small batch, it's rounded off, whereas a barrel pick has a lot of spikes in it, and so if that makes sense.
Well, it does.
Yeah,
for sure.
So it's not subdued, It's just two different approaches, if that makes sense.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah. So I was, just wanted to point that out. So if people want to know what's the difference in the high proof, well, this is cast strength. I mean, 118 is where it's at, and that's the highest proof that we can consistently hit with a batch. Whereas the single barrels, they might, we've had a couple of them, as Brett told you, come out at 130. If they're 130, that's what they are. If they're 119, that's what they are.
Any hazmat? Any 140 plus?
No. I mean, we could get there on the still, but we don't, we're not barreling anything like that. So,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm sure somebody out there
Yeah.
would want one.
We're focused. People always ask, what's next? We're focused on 100% rice whiskey. We're not doing any finishes yet. The only way to do a finish is to put it in something else. And if you don't start there, if you don't have a huge facility to do that, you're literally dumping good whiskey that we know is really good and put it in something else to see what else is going to happen. So we're not quite there yet. We don't have excess whiskey to be experimenting with. Like
well,
that.
hey, I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
So we're focused on this right now. And we might do some different batches and other things to come. Probably eventually a bottled in bond, just to make a statement that it's, effectively our small batch is bottled in bond, but got to hit a couple more points on the proof to get there, but that's easy to do.
Well, Mike, I can't thank you enough.
Right.
And
Thank
coming in, let me come into your house, drink your whiskey.
Yep.
Giving a giveaway for our listeners out there.
Awesome.
I know they love it and stuff. And listeners, if you win this giveaway, don't forget that at the end of the year, that puts you in for the end of the year giveaway I have. And it's just going to be a monster giveaway of all kinds of stuff in that package. But you have to have won a giveaway throughout the year. Like I said, I think I'm at 25 or 26 giveaways right now. I'm going to try to do it throughout the end of the year. It's breaking my bank, but my wife is happy because there's whiskey leaving my shelf. She said I have too much whiskey. And I know these distilleries got too much whiskey right now, too, so we might as well give away some of theirs while we're at it. But you know where you can find old Big Chief. You can find me at The Whiskey Trip on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and now YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you would. Now, if you listen to me, make sure you listen to Matt and Mark from The Bourbon Life. Yeah, on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, on Amazon, iHeartRadio, anywhere you can find a podcast. You can find Matt and Mark from The Bourbon Life. Now, if you like what they're talking about, if you like what I'm talking about, please leave us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leave us some comments on there. Tell them how sexy you think old Big Chief is. That's what they really want to know. But seriously, leave us some comments. Post those comments back over on my Facebook page, The Whiskey Trip. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 100 reviews before the end of the year. We're almost there. Keep helping me out. I really appreciate it. Those comments, those 5-star reviews, that opens up the doors to distilleries like JT Meleck. It gets great whiskey in my hand, like all of these expressions there, and gets great guests on my show to bring you great content like Mike here. Mike, once again, thank you. I can't say enough thank yous to you and your entire team, to your wife, to Pam out there, to Mr. Ed, Mr. Big Ed.
I should add one last thing. I don't think we talked about it, but if people want to go through the trouble, go on YouTube and look up Farms of America. There were 12 farms that were featured on the first series that they came out this year. Our original show was aired, I think, August the 4th, but it's I think available on YouTube. It's Farms of America, and type in Fruge Aqua Farms, and they did a 1-hour session, like a 1-hour show, and they spent probably, I don't know how many hours over here filming stuff, but if you want to get the whole Fruge story, they did a fabulous job, Farms of America.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up.
And, get with my wife, and maybe you can put a link or something.
Yeah, we can find that. We'll put it in the link on the video here.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, Once again, thank you for taking this ride with me. This is Old Big Chief. Keep listening, keep watching. Cheers.